What's going on, winners? Your boy Loso 2.0, aka The Voice. And today we're going to continue reading from The Nine Figure Mindset: How to Go from Zero to Over $100 Million in Net Worth by Brandon Dawson, forward by John C. Maxwell. Now, before we get started with that, click that subscribe button below and subscribe to the Winners Win channel. I'm going to be picking up from page 85. Page 85 is where I'm going to be picking up from. It looks like we brought ourselves a month and a half of staying in business, I told my team, but I put the extra money we made into the cash reserves rather than go out and blow it on something. In the coming years, this fiscal prudence will be a best practice that I would teach thousands of business people. It was something I had been doing for years. So it looks like he took money, put some money aside too as well, right? And we're going to continue reading before I start giving my little breakdown after I finish this page. Our goal was to generate enough funds for the first 2 weeks, a month's worth, and then to acquire 90 days of revenue, so there would be enough in the bank for 3 months of operating expenses if revenue suddenly dried up. It continued for 36 months until one day my comptrollers came in and said, "Hey, Brandon, we have a new problem." "Yeah, what's our new problem?" We have 5.8 million in cash reserves, and we're only spending a fraction of that. So she basically got 15 months of cash in the bank, said the comptroller. We went to a bank for counseling on how to ladder our cash by investing in bonds with differing maturity so that the money could work for us while remaining available as we needed. But we had proven the algorithm for how to build a successful business without needing outside investment. This was a huge lesson for me that I will pass along to my clients. Many businesses fail due to a lack of demand for their product or service, the inability to hire talented people to their team, and a lack of financing. They're related. If you don't have a great product or service, talented people aren't going to want to hitch their wagon to your vision, and certainly no one is going to give you money. And if you can't present a clear growth trajectory to your people, they won't be able to see how they can grow personally, professionally, and financially with your business. The prospect of someday getting financing may attract some to your concept, but there's a lot of downside risk to the decision as well, which may deter them. Using cash flow as a strategy for startup growth puts your success in your own hands, along with your willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve your dream. This was the message I delivered in those first years at AutoGeek as growing numbers of mom and pop businesses in the hearing care industry began attending my guest summits. So we got a lot to unpack right here. He was putting cash reserves aside, and it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you ever read The Richest Man in Babylon. So The Richest Man in Babylon actually breaks down how to save your money, or how to invest or do with your money. You want to put 10% away for tithes, 10% away for actually savings, put another 10% away for something, for investing in yourself. There's all these different things that you have to do with the money that you earn each and every single time you get paid. So he was putting cash reserves aside he said, to generate his to have his operating expenses for years on ahead. So he was thinking ahead too as well. And this is a concept that I feel like I had to learn too as well, like my ability to manage my money. But everyone could really do with this, and you have to learn how to do this yourself before you could do it on a larger scale, like running a business too as well. So that was actually a pretty good thing that he was doing for his business. And he said it all was tied together, right? And it reminds me of that saying, "How you do one thing is how you do anything," by Dan Lott. He's saying like how you do one thing is like he's good with his money, so then he probably has a good product or service, which means he probably has a good team. They're all intertwined, they're all connected together as well. But I'm gonna continue on now. On page 86, each of the guest segments went more or less like this: the lights will come down, I'll walk to the front of the room, and I will turn a projector on with slides illustrating the concepts from books like Cash Flow Quadrant, and I will start talking. The themes were easy to create because they were rooted in the readings I'd done and the lessons I learned by videotaping and spending time with Hector. They allowed me the same logic I applied to my own creation of AutoGeek. Sound familiar a little bit? Anyway, if you had the choice of building your business bigger, better, faster, more profitable, and in such a way that you could messing up right here, differentiate yourself from the rest of the marketplace, would you want to do it? I asked them. Of course. Why, yes, and sure, would emanate from around the room. Many of those who came to the presentation knew from Sonus, so I enjoyed telling them that AutoGeek was the opposite of Sonus, in that it will be owned by its members. No one else had ever done anything like it, not only in our industry, but in any industry that I was aware of. When you launch a business, it's very important to know whom is exactly to whom you're directing your message. In our case, we were not trying to win business from the perspective of entrepreneur. Our audiences were small businesses that were already enjoying a measure of success. The owners were making a good living, good enough to put roofs over their heads, feed their families, and finance vacations and college educations. Most were well educated, more formally than me at any rate, and many had advanced medical degrees. But in one way or another, they felt stuck. That had made them pull the trigger and pay a few $1,000s to come hear my presentation. Maybe the problem was that they needed to hire new people but didn't know how to source talent or develop it from within. Or perhaps they were feeling pressure from new competitors in their area and didn't know how to fight back and dominate their marketplace. In most cases, problems boil down to the fact that the business owners had strong technical knowledge of their field and solid work ethics, but they lacked leadership skills. And in many cases, the business systems and planning skills needed to grow beyond a few million in revenue a year. So a lot to unpack again from this. Something simple, and this is a simple lesson for anybody that wants to get in any type of influencer realm, wants to get in any type of realm for just coaching or teaching type of realm. You can literally read books, take concepts that you're reading from the books, and then reteach them to other people. For one, it's going to help you learn it. For two, you're going to have your own little spin to it because you have your own personal stories that you can connect to the reading for maybe an audience to remember, maybe your audience to actually remember. So that's what he was doing with the cash flow quadrant and the stuff he was learning from Hector. He was teaching at these presentations. It's the same thing I'm doing on these YouTube videos. I'm actually physically reading the book, but also giving you my breakdown of the book, how I would explain it, how I would teach it too as well. So that's an important concept right there. Another thing is that he talked about was the idea of knowing your target audience. This is very, very important in sales and marketing, in the idea of persuading anybody. One way you pitch something, one way you sell something, one way you try to persuade someone on a specific topic is not going to be the same each and every single time. It's not going to be the same way that you may do it to another person, or one way you might sell me on maybe getting a new phone. You're not going to be able to sell that same way to someone else, like my cousin or something, on getting a new phone. We both believe in different things, but if you know your audience, you have a general idea of what your ideal target audience wants, what they care about. It's not going to be all exactly the same thing, but you're going to have some bullet points for a few things of what they care about too as well. So continue to be educated on who your target audience is, right? And he found out what his target audience was, and he also figured out what their solution was to their problem. Let me read this last page. Still, we had our work cut out for us in changing the business owners' thinking from conventional terms to autarky terms. This was involved changing their mindsets twice. First, they needed to check conventional wisdom at the door, snap out of years of comfortable emotional investment in themselves as experts, and realize that they needed business help. They were pros in understanding, hearing, and I wasn't going to improve upon their expertise, but I sure as shooting could help them run a better business. However, in order for me to help them, they had to embrace curiosity and experimentation. To provide context to my audience, I gave them an overview of the very real industry pressures on the mom and pop business, especially the consolidation of power and fewer manufacturers that were essentially buying customers to sell to. This is what Starkey eventually did, and also what Sonos did on behalf of other manufacturer partners. Given the nature of this consolidation, plus the rise of new Bluetooth technologies and emerging direct-to-consumer market for multifunctional sound systems that included hearing aids, I painted a compelling picture for why it would be wise for these owners to have autarky in their corner. Second, I explained there was a type of business ownership to which they could aspire that differ from their current model, as we've already covered here. One of the common errors among small business owners is tendency to wear too many hats and effectively do everyone else's jobs. Most business owners, including me, have been guilty at some time or another in their careers, but this kind of business ownership is more akin to freelance work in which you own your job but have to do all or much of the work yourself. Thanks to Hector and others, my definition of business ownership evolved to where I viewed it as having other people do the work for you so you can guide the strategic growth and direction of the organization. Truth be told, I had discovered the beauty of this model myself all these years ago when I hired the senior class at my high school to harvest my family's walnut orchard. So, then another things to unpack from this. First of all, especially if you're listening to this podcast, you're watching these YouTube videos, I'm pretty sure you took conventional thinking out the door, right? There was a way to think for people who want to be in a working class and the people that want to be inspired to be the greatest at what they do. You were watching this video for that reason. You want to be the greatest at what you want to do. So he had to get them out of that idea of thinking like conventional business owners or conventional wisdom or what they're used to hearing. Then after that, he had to get them to think of a new solution to this thing. And I actually like this solution too as well. Like, again, it's made me think about this. When you're ready to scale a business, at first, when you're at a mom and pop, or when you're even having a small business and you're singular, such as myself, you have to wear a lot of hats. You got to do the marketing. You got to do the public speaking, which is what I want to do anyway. You got to do the finances, the closing. You got to do everything. But as you try to scale, it's more important to find people that can do the job just as good as you, or even 75% as good as you, so that you can put your time and effort into other things. So whenever you're thinking about scaling, or whenever you think about growing, remember, it takes a team effort in order to have you grow your business or grow in any pretty much part of your life now. So that's really all I have today for you guys. Let me think about a name for this episode. I'm gonna call this episode right here a change in mindset, right? Change in mindset to grow. That's what we're going to do. Change in mindset to grow. Because it could be financially, it could be spiritually, it could be in any realm that you want to do, but it is going to take a change in your mindset first in order to be able to grow in any type of area in your life. I want you guys to keep killing the day. Winners win, losers lose, and you pray for success like this. 2.0 out.